grateful to have worked with a number of writers and producers and artists that span from Thomas Rhett to Britney Spencer, Jesse Frazier. What's unique about my job is that I can work in all of country music, and it encapsulates a number of different flavors. Hey y'all, I'm Spencer Nohe, and this is The High Notes. Today we're going to be talking about some of my most memorable moments as a music publisher at Warner Chappell Music. 2006, I moved here from Kansas, went to Belmont University, and then my first job in the business was at Word Entertainment, which was a Christian record label that was a part of Warner Music Group. So I spent the majority of the beginning of my career there at the label, working at A&R on the label side of things. And then 2000, I think it was 18, I jumped over and I worked for BMI. And so Jody Williams hired me over at BMI. I kind of took on a role that I was working, obviously in country music, but we'd seen the tide level rise in Nashville for creators outside of country music. So I took on that role, worked with a lot of pop writers and producers, and Ben Vaughn called me one fateful day, January of 2020, and I've been at Warner Chappell ever since on the publishing side of things. So a bit of a holistic career in terms of being a label, performing rights organization, and now on the publishing side. So A&R, the acronym stands for Artist and Repertoire. So on the label side, that role, you're responsible for signing the artist and also making the record with the artists and the producers and writers, of course. They're also listening to pitches, placing songs on albums, all that side of the business. So A&R on the publishing side of the business is similar to the record side, where you're signing songwriters, staff songwriters, and you're also working with songwriters who are also artists. So country music also is a little different than pop or Christian music, where we are involved in the record making process. But on the A&R side, we're helping set up co-writes, we're pitching songs for our staff songwriters. We're essentially doing everything we can to help amplify and develop songwriters' careers. We work really closely with songwriters and artists. And so a big part of my job is understanding the psyche of and the goals of my songwriters and my artists. Thomas Rhett, What's Your Country Song, I think is a perfect example of a hit song for him for a number of reasons. Number one, the way it was written. Thomas Rhett does a lot, if not the majority of his writing on the road. That was a road riding weekend. We call them bus runs. So we sent 3 or 4 riders out on the road to write with him. And generally they're setting up their rig on a bus and riding it in the lounge of the bus. But this time they actually had a day off, and so they went to a hotel, and so they set up a makeshift studio in a hotel room. That's a prideful moment for me as a publisher because, with an artist like that, it was a song that had a significant impact in his career. What I think is one of the most magical things about a songwriting session is that the songwriters, no matter if they've had previous success or haven't, everyone has the same tools at their disposal that day. So they're starting with a blank page. Whether they'll be writing a song and feel like, hey, I don't have a crystal ball, but this thing feels like a big song, it feels like a hit. And generally what that means, especially if the artist is in the room, the artist carries that song forever, right? So as the artist is writing that song, they're taking ownership of that because they know that, especially if it is a hit, they're gonna sing that every night, every weekend for the rest of their career. And so I think when you're feeling that magic moment in the room, it's connecting to that artist DNA. The writers will say, we just felt like we were the conduits. We were just trying to get out of the way. And usually those songs are written fast, and there's really not a lot of explanation of why those cadences and melodies and words just work together, but it does. And generally, those songwriters, especially the ones who've been doing it a long time, they have that feeling they're right, and we end up getting them cut, and they end up being hits. When I think about memorable moments in my career we won CMA Song of the Year for a song called Buy Dirt. I worked with a songwriter named Matt Jenkins. That was a year or 2 after I started Chappell, and Matt's one of my favorite guys, favorite songwriters. He had a long-standing relationship with Jordan Davis and his brother and Jacob Davis, who he wrote that song with. And as a publisher, that's a songwriter award, that's a song award, and so as a publisher, that's sort of one of our pinnacles. And yeah, that was a huge highlight to win that award. That is the intangible about our business, that there isn't there's no math to it. We're putting people in rooms every day, so it's like we're trying to put together great rooms where, people can not only connect personally, but then have a symbiotic creative relationship. Creative relationships do ebb and flow, and sometimes that is a great opportunity, and sometimes those are heartbreakers. You may really want to build relationships or write for these records or have the opportunity to get songs on these records that you never thought you could. And, as artists evolve and projects and the landscape of music evolves, sometimes that creates new opportunities that you would have never thought of. We had that a couple weeks ago. We got a bunch of artists and songs on Beyonce record. I don't think I had that on my bingo card for this year. Those are my high notes. Thank you for having me, CMA. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Check, check, 1, 2. I'm a professional. But yeah, not a lot of on-camera stuff, so this is new to me. Yeah, this is my debut.